Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are midway through season 5 onto episode 10, Chinga. Ryan, tell me a bit about Chinga.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned last episode. So this is written supposedly, if you
Hmm.
go off the credits, by Stephen King. But I do gather there were an awful lot of Chris Carter rewrites to it. I think whatever it was that King gave them maybe wasn't quite X Files enough. I don't know,
Hmm.
but just there's a lot of rumors I hear amongst like X Files fans that
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Giant
just
spiders, big giant turtle finale. like,
yeah. It's I mean, it's set in King's favorite place of all places, Maine, which
hmm.
right off the bat tells you we're in King territory. But yeah, and I
Yeah,
do think I
yeah.
do think it has like King tropes and stuff. But
Hmm.
I also think you can see where that kind of Carter vibe and typical X Files kind of vibe has creeped in there. But so yeah, how much of this is actually King's and how much of it is Carter's, I couldn't tell you. I just know that apparently there was some behind the scenes wranglings, and
Okay.
there's a reason King only wrote one episode. So
Hmm.
mm,
Okay, so we're going to do the guessing game.
yes, let's. So episode 10
Hmm.
of season 5, Chinga. Where do you think it ranks in the IMDb 217?
142.
Oof. That's not too bad of a guess. It's 138, so you're only 4 out.
Wow.
So, yeah. Okay.
That's
Let's
not
get.
bad. I'm still
Let's.
surprised that I actually got one of these right.
Yeah, when you got that right that time, I was like, no, he's looked. He's looked up. It's like, okay. So, as I say, we open up in Maine,
Yep.
King's favourite town. And we see a mum taking what can only be described as a devil child
Mhm.
into a store for groceries, and then everyone stares at them. It's just like as she's going through this store with her child, with her devil child, everyone's just staring at her.
Yep.
She's got two heads or something.
Mhm.
The girl wants to leave, but the mum nervously agrees, almost like she's enthralled to the child, to the devil
Mm.
child. But then everyone starts bleeding from the eyes, and Dave sticks a knife in his eye.
Mhm.
So just your normal, typical kind of Maine like behaviour, really.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely got a home delivery here. Like you wouldn't be going shopping. It's
Mm.
it's it's an interesting setup, but again, it's one of those ones where it feels rather tropey. It's either a doll or a kid,
Mm.
both of which we've kind of touched on before in the X Files, and it
Yeah.
just although it's a nice setting, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in the opening sequence.
No, it's quite reminiscent, isn't it, of many other episodes. I mean, I think of Born Again.
Mm.
I think of the Kalashari. Like it just, yeah, Eve, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's. I mean, it's fine. It's wacky enough. Like I like the shot of when we go into the store and everyone's going
Mhm.
crazy. It's kind of
Yeah.
like pretty full on, but
I
yeah.
did like the reflection in the glass, the almost premonition,
Hmm.
which becomes more prominent throughout the episode. So,
Yeah.
after the opening scene, I'm not out by any means, but it's not
Hmm.
really grabbed me.
No, it's far from being one of the worst openings.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's just that I
The field
think
where I died.
yeah, it's just going into it knowing that this is Stephen King. You're like, oh, what's
Yes.
he gonna do? What's he gonna do? 'Cause
Mhm.
I remember seeing the two-part episode of CSI that Quentin Tarantino wrote, and he was all over that. Like he didn't
Yes.
direct
Yeah.
it. He didn't direct it, but you could see Tarantino in that episode. You knew he'd written the script, and it was easily one of the standouts of the entire show that I saw anyway. But yeah, so Stephen King, what's he gonna do? It's like, oh, right, okay, Devil Child or Doll. Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough. Chucky or Omen, what's it gonna be? So Scully rocks up on vacation, and Mulder calls, and she hangs up. This is really great. It's like she's gone for 5 minutes, and he's like, "Hey, Scully, what you doing?" And she's just like, "Nope, vacation, go away."
Yep.
So, Mum pulls out in front of Scully. Then Scully spots the man stumbling out of the store. She goes in and sees more of them and finds Dave.
Yep. Dead as a dead.
Yeah.
Yes, dead. Yeah.
Dead as a Dave. Yeah. dead as a Dave can get. So Mulder is watching the world's deadliest swarms when Scully.
Well, let's face it. This is played for laughs, definitely. Because, I mean, I'm just like, because we've caught him before reading magazines, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it just, you're like, this is Mulder's. What is swarming here exactly? Because it sounds like porn.
Yeah.
We've seen. I've been told.
Yeah. We've seen like. We've seen tapes as well, haven't we, before that have been suspect. And he's made comments about if you found a tape in there, it's not mine. So it's clearly yours. But yeah, so they build it up like he's clearly watching porn, and then actually no, it's world's deadliest swarms. So yeah, Scully calls. She rules out witchcraft, prompting a proposal of marriage from Mulder because of how much research she's done. So he keeps throwing out suggestions and stuff, and she just keeps knocking them down, like basically giving these answers that clearly show she's read up on this stuff, which is an instant turn on for Mulder. And he's just like, Scully, will you marry me? So Scully sees Melissa Turner on the CCTV and tells the sheriff they might want to talk to her, given that she's the only one who walked out there without her eyes bleeding. The sheriff says that Melissa has been accused by the town of being a witch. Also, she'd been carrying on with Dave. Not anymore.
Yeah, and this is where like one of these facets where you could almost feel the story that was here. You know, the segregation of someone within the community, the fact that she's sleeping with someone who has perceived power, being in a law enforcement role. It's like it leads to like grander ideals that never pop up again. It feels as if they've been stripped out of it.
Yeah, it's like again, it's think about previous episodes like Aubrey. A little bit plays into this. Like you got this woman who's, maybe what's the word? Being taken advantage of, maybe by the townsfolk and stuff, kind of the local doormat. So yeah, All right, so Deputy Sheriff calls Melissa, gives her a heads up. The doll listens in. Yeah.
Oh, we should say we didn't mention the doll's little I want to have fun at the start.
I want to play. Yeah. It's not exactly Chucky.
Subtle. It's not subtle either, is it?
No. It's like we never really get your Chucky movements. It's more akin to Annabelle, I would say. It's just like So Sheriff and Scully come to the house, but Melissa and Paulie are gone. The door wide open, washing still on the line.
Mhm.
Inside, they find Paulie's bedroom window nailed shut, and the sheriff gives Scully a bit more info on Melissa. Can't quite remember what
Yeah.
that info is because I've slept since watching. But,
Yeah, just there's nothing. I think it's nothing super important. Just a little bit about her background. But again, this is just an episode to show you that Melissa seems a little bit unhinged. She's nailed all the
yeah,
windows shut and things like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. The problem is, I think, that having seen enough possessed dolls
Yes.
movies and TV shows and things like that,
Mm.
there's nothing about this that's surprising. There's nothing about it like it's fun. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, and
Yeah.
it moves fast enough to it's nicely paced, so I'm not bored. And every time Mulder and Scully have an interaction, even though it's over the phone, it's always really amusing, really
Mhm.
entertaining. So it's
But
not a
but
bad
that's
episode by any
no,
stretch, but
it's not. But it's
it's just
played like
like,
a mystery. But
yeah,
it's not mysterious. Like you know
exactly.
what
So
it is.
you know right off the bat from the opening shot, it's either a devil child or a doll.
Yeah.
And then we've got the mum has nailed the windows shut. And we get the doll saying stuff that's creepy. So we're clearly into creepy doll territory by this point. There's no real surprises, not unless all of this is meant to steer you in the direction of the doll, only to pull the rug out from under you. But I don't really get that sense here that that's where they're going
No.
with it. So, the deputy sheriff tries to convince Melissa to let him take care of her. Meanwhile, Paulie wants more cherries. Then there's an accident.
Which is awesome. I like it a lot. It's very playful. But do you know what's the most creepiest thing about this sequence? It is the police officer.
Yeah.
He's incredibly creepy.
Yeah,
You know,
big time.
talking about picking your time. Hey, look, I know your partner's just died, but you know, I'm next in line.
Yeah, like, choose your timing, dude. It's like, come on. Like, oh man, yeah, he's clearly a creep. So Scully and the sheriff experience New England hospitality from Paulie's old teacher, Jane. So yeah, they go and she basically says that this is a devil child.
It's an old busybody neighbour. Again, it's a trope. It's another typical thing.
I will say it is a typical trope of King. This is very much a King-like character. You know, if you think of The Mist and the crazy Christian woman who's like, you know, and then Carrie as well. It's like, you know.
It's the general perception is that older people are nicer, they're wiser, they're just better. But always in King stories, the older person is generally toxic. Under that sweet facade leads a kind of monster.
Scully reiterates that she's just on vacation. So this poor woman's just getting dragged into this case, whether she wants to be on it or not. But yeah. Melissa wants to drive up to the cabin, and a man at the gate stops them. Is it Polly or Paulie? She says it like Polly.
You know what? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it might be Polly. I've written Polly at one point, and then I've written Polly here, so it could be either way. So Polly wants to go home, and a vision in the window means a quick getaway. So yeah, so this guy's kind of holding her up, and she sees a vision of him dead, basically, in the window,
and this leads to one of the sequences I don't understand. She sees a vision of the old woman dying. Does that mean that the doll has to be there for the old woman to die? Does she have to travel back? Does it have a spirit that leaves the doll and it feels unanswered and a little bit incidental, you know,
Yeah.
because it feels as if they don't get there too long after she's dead.
And again, this is speculation, so it doesn't really mean a right lot. But it could
Uh-huh.
be that the doll is the one that presents the visions in order to lead her there, so that it can kill her. I don't know. It's just, honestly, I didn't think about it until you just brought it up. But yeah, it doesn't. If the doll isn't there, because the doll's with him, innit? It's in the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it doesn't make a right lick of sense that she would
Yeah.
have the vision unless she was in close enough proximity for the doll to be doing any damage. But yeah.
Mm.
So Jane kills herself to the hokey pokey. I feel, see, this has started to become a trope as well, which is, let's do something nasty to the sound of a jolly old 50s pop tune kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was done to much greater effect in Home, I thought. I feel like because that works so well in Home, they've done it here as well. They've thought, "Ooh, let's do that one again." But yeah, so yeah, like I can't remember that scene now. Like I say, I watched this one last week. It's been a while since, and I can't remember how that scene played out. The doll wasn't there, was it, when she kills herself?
No.
She just
She sees it. She sees a vision of a little girl,
right,
like a ghostly spirit, but it's not the doll, because the doll is smaller than that and is with the family. And it just kind of, it's the one death where no one's really there,
right,
which makes me feel a little bit weird about the doll, because ultimately at the end you find out the doll's been found and that's brought the spirit. And well, if it could just travel without the doll, then it would do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, going to the story of Annabelle, that's a conduit for a spirit in it. So it's not the doll that actually does stuff; it's the spirit that is like made manifest within the doll. But you can't use a film that was made well over a decade after in order to go back and go, "Oh yes, that's what it's all about." It's like you have to set up those rules. You can't just expect people to know them. So yeah, so who knows? Scully tries to relax when the sheriff rocks up, which, really makes her day, makes her night. So Scully goes to the crime scene and Mulder calls while construction goes on at his apartment. It's just like...
He's so bored.
Yeah. Says there may be a scientific explanation, which is called chorea or something, dancing sickness. Scully hangs up. So once again, yeah, Mulder tries to, but she's just like, nope. She hangs up again. Second time she's hung up on him in this episode.
Yep.
But... So she suggests to the sheriff that they consider more extreme possibilities, to which he reminds her she's on vacation, which is really nice. I like that they use that line several times, that she's on vacation, and then when she suddenly starts talking like Mulder, it's the other people who say, you are still on vacation. You don't have to get involved. But yeah, but it does as well. We have pointed out that this is one of the themes of this season, is that after the cliffhanger of season 4 and the opening 2 episodes of this season, we find that Mulder is much more willing to not jump to aliens as the primary source of everything that's going wrong, and Scully is more willing to look at other possibilities beyond the what may be obvious to most people. So
Mhm.
okay. Polly sleeps while Hokey Pokey plays.
Yep.
The mum creeps in, and the record stops. The doll wakes, and the record begins again. So Melissa runs.
Mhm.
It's like, okay.
And it's becoming almost repetitive. The
Mm,
episode. Yeah.
yeah,
It's still moving forward, but it's just repetition.
yeah, it's like I feel like all the stuff with Mulder and Scully and the sheriff, it's all nice character beats that
Yeah.
make the episode really entertaining.
Mhm.
But the
Completely
actual
agree.
the main plot of the week, it's just not really there. It's not
Mm.
good enough to be super memorable.
Mhm.
And to be honest, going into this episode, that's kind of how I'd always remembered this one being. Not bad, but a
Mhm.
little bit disappointing. Given who's involved, like. But in the kitchen window, Melissa sees the deputy mutilated again.
Yep. Buddy.
Nice,
Buddy's done
yeah,
for.
yeah, that's him gone. Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
So Scully has breakfast with the sheriff. She asks him about the death of Melissa's husband. He points her to the boat he died on, now manned by one of the people from the store outbreak.
Mm.
Yeah. So he had an accident at sea, apparently. So,
Yeah.
yeah. The deputy goes to see Melissa, says he's going to take her in and her brat. So, like, I mean, I can't blame the guy, to be honest. I can't blame anyone for thinking that this child, as I say, I've called her the devil child several times.
Mm.
She doesn't
Yeah.
really do much to shake that particular notion because, well, she's creepy. She's not,
Yeah.
I've got a 9-year-old, I've got a 4-year-old, and I can't honestly say they've ever been that creepy.
No.
So yeah, there you go. So the man on the boat recounts the story of how Polly's dad died. To which I can only say, why the hell is this guy not the main suspect?
Yeah.
Like, he spins this story, but at the end of the day, there was 2 people on that boat, him and Polly's dad, and he's the only one who came home.
Yep.
So we're supposed to just believe his, like, if you're in law enforcement, this guy comes back, you're supposed to just believe this story, and this guy is not prime suspect number 1.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just
It's, and as well, it's like, hey, look, I know you've lost your dad, but here's a doll I found in the ocean.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
like
that
I'd have
makes it
loved to have seen
all
that
okay.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Man alive. Okay. So Mulder calls Scully and she asks him about objects that control people. To which he says, Juju, to which she hangs up. So I know
Yeah.
Juju as being a one of the best Susie and the Banshees albums, but yeah. So I can't remember how he explained what a Juju was, but
No, I can't remember.
yeah, like I feel like if I'd have taken notice of that, it might fill us in on the whole teacher being killed without the doll being there kind of thing. I think it's something to do with like a spirit, vengeful spirit, or something like that. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. Melissa makes popcorn.
Yeah.
Polly shouts for it. It's like popcorn. "Give me my popcorn." So yeah, the deputy. What's that? Oh, the deputy lies dead on the floor. The mum's kind of frantically cooking this popcorn. I'm coming. I'm coming. So it's like, yeah. I mean, do you think the child, like, obviously watching it for the first time at this point, did you think the child was in on it, or was part of it, or was possessed in some way, or anything like that?
Honestly, I don't think you spend enough time with the child
Hmm.
to really pick up anything. Like, my attention is all on the doll. I know it's the
Yeah.
doll, so I'm
Yeah.
I'm almost discounting everything else, and I'm not
Yeah.
looking for any clues to otherwise.
Yeah.
I'd have been gobsmacked if it wasn't the doll at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just figured the mum was trying to keep the status quo in the household, keep
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
emotions level.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Polly sleeps. Melissa hammers. Polly
Mm.
wakes. Duh. Obviously, because Melissa's hammering. It's like, what?
Yeah,
I'll wait for her to go to sleep before I start hammering. It's like,
yeah.
what the heck?
Love it. These 12 nails in this one window don't work, but the 13th may have the lucky
Uh-huh.
touch, you know? It's like,
Yep. Melissa sees herself with a hammer in her head. She decides to take Polly back to bed.
yep.
Oh, man.
Man,
Okay.
yeah. It's getting towards the finale, I think.
Yeah. So I just feel like there's a lot of people in this that don't act the way that people would act. They
Mhm.
act the way a screenwriter needs them to act in order for them to tell their story.
Mhm.
Which is very much like Stephen King, to be perfectly honest.
Mm.
So yeah. Scully and the sheriff show up as Melissa tries to burn the house down. She runs upstairs when they burst in, and she tries to hammer herself senseless. Scully takes the doll and sticks it in the microwave. So that kind of answers the question about the teacher, but not very well, because so this doll clearly, in effect, it was Devil Child. It was both Devil Child and possessed doll. So it was like the spirit of this that's in this doll makes people do things they don't want to do. So it made the teacher kill herself. It makes Melissa hammer herself in the head.
But I mean, you see the hammer floating down the hallway. Like,
Yeah, but
so it's as if she controlled it. I mean, Melissa could be trying not to hammer herself. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, I just think the problem I have is like what you stated before, which is that, okay, I accept it here because the doll is in that house.
Yes.
Whereas with the teacher, it's like, what? So the spirit of this doll just went halfway across the town to this woman's house while the doll itself was still in the car. It's just not very well kind of explained. But
Sorry.
it is nice.
We never get to see the doll move. So by all accounts, the doll
No.
is stationary. It's always with whoever's, because she carries the doll about. The doll was trapped in the ocean because it was just floating in the ocean. So it makes you feel like the doll can't move like Chucky could.
No.
So like if the doll's not in the house, how could anything happen?
Yeah.
It's just an unanswered question.
It's not very
Annoys me.
thought out. Yeah. And in the end as well, the death of the teacher, what does it actually achieve? It doesn't actually. It doesn't move the story along at all.
I'll also tell you that everyone else that dies has interacted with the mother and the child at some point. You know, even Dave at the start, we understand they had a relationship.
Yeah.
What has this woman done at any point? What has she? Have we seen her interact?
We've not, but we can assume she has done because this was Polly's teacher, so it stands to reason that they will have met at some point.
Yeah. So why, when they're away on holiday, do they decide that this is the time to?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just, her death doesn't really. It doesn't give us anything except that song. But knowing, hearing that song play while the teacher kills herself, and then hearing it in the kid's bedroom, doesn't make the song any more creepy or kind of.
No.
It just doesn't need to happen. You could take out that death scene; it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference to the episode. So yeah, okay. It's nice to see the doll go up in the microwave anyway. So
yeah,
nice little beat of action. But Scully finds Mulder sharpening his pencils.
Yep.
He's so bored. He's like, I'm pretty sure Mulder's autistic, to be honest. But he's sharpening his pencils and he's lining them all up really straight. And yeah, she asks him where he got his poster because she wants to send one to Jack. And is it? This isn't the one where we see the pencils falling from the ceiling, is it?
This is it, yeah.
That one.
No, this is a sequence. Because he's sharpening the pencils to then throw them in the ceiling.
Yeah, so he's sharpening the pencil. So, like, she asks him about the poster, and then all of a sudden, falls down, and she looks up, and it's clearly he's been doing nothing with his time. He's been bored out of his wits. So, yeah. Like I say, all those scenes, all the stuff with Mulder and Scully in this is just, it's dynamite. But yeah, we get the final stinger in the tail, which doesn't need to be there and doesn't really make sense. Like, why the hell has this thing ended up back in the ocean? A fisherman finds the burnt doll. Like, surely this thing would be on a rubbish dump somewhere. Like, or
evidence locker.
Evidence locker, yeah. Like, Scully's burnt the thing in a microwave. She's clearly done that. Like, you don't do that if you don't think the thing is possessed. No. You don't do that if you think that it's a good idea to allow this thing to still be out in the world. So why would she have let it slip away like that to the point where it's ended up? It's stupid. Why is it in the ocean?
And like, I mean, look at the state of it. It's never going to end up with another little girl. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. Like,
here's burn victim Sally. Like, I mean,
I could understand doing this scene on a rubbish dump. You know?
Yes.
Trolley, a truck pulls up, flips up, empties all the crap out, and then boom, the doll's there on the top of the pile of crap. But to have another fisherman pull it out the ocean again, like, what? Stupid. Right. Okay.
I'll wrap this one up because it feels like a bit of a mess. It feels like something that's been tinkered and tinkered and tinkered to the point where it's broken. It's got great points. The character interactions are wonderful. I love Jack and Scully. I love Scully and Mulder. I think they're terrifically entertaining and really well done. But on the flip side, you've got these other characters that just seem like just typical people. Buddy, the kind of creepy cop, the teacher and neighbour. These people make zero impact. And when they're in the same scene with someone who's so charismatic, they feel off. And that's this story. It has great points and its bad points. Everything about the mother and the child and the doll, I had almost zero interest in because I knew what was going to happen. All my interest was on the characters and the fun that I had with them. Is it a bad episode? No, but I would say that there's a lot wrong with it that could have been fixed. But I think it's been meddled and tinkered with. Going into this, I'm a big Stephen King fan, so I was expecting more and just didn't get it. So I think after the conversation, I'm going to go for a 3 out of 5 on this one.
Yeah. Everything you just said, repeat. 3 out of 5 from me as well. Like the thing that stops this primarily from going lower is all that Mulder and Scully stuff. Like, I laugh out loud at least 3 or 4 times throughout this episode. So
It's
as a,
terrific.
as a Mulder and Scully fan, I would watch this episode again for all those stuff. But
Mhm.
that's it. Yeah, 3 out of 5 from me.
Excellent. So, tell us a little bit about Kill Switch.
So back in the day, I've not seen this episode for some years, but back in my X-Files fervor, when I was just like watching several episodes a day, this was my favorite episode of season 5.
Wow.
I used to love it.
Wow.
I loved the pace. I loved the story and the characters and a lot of the interactions. I remember some stuff with Scully and this other woman. So, having said that, and I don't know what it is that's making me think this. I've got a feeling that it might not hold up as well now
Right.
that it's so many years later and I'm an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm intrigued. Of all the episodes in season 5, this is the one that I've most wanted to revisit.
Right. Okay.
Just because I'm really curious to find where I'm going to sit on it, because I used to love it. So I'm curious to find out whether I still do or not.
Well, you have piqued my curiosity on this one. So, as to everyone listening or watching on YouTube, listening on whatever podcast device they listen to, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Remember to review because it really helps, and to like this episode. And we will see you next week for Kill Switch.